Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube video. Alright, so you just finished filming like your really cool YouTube video, you got everything planned out, and you realize you want a cool thumbnail so people are more likely to click it. It's really simple, it only takes a couple of minutes, and the way I do it is completely free. First thing you want to do is take a screenshot of your video. So find like a frame in the video that you really like. You push print screen on the video, and then what I do is I open up Paint. Again, I'm using all this on a PC. But on a Mac, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. I don't know where Paint is. Paint. Paste it in Paint. Don't worry about cropping or anything. We'll do that later. And then I save it. I already started a folder for this new video. And it's called Thumbnail Video. And we're going to call this Thumbnail Original. I can't spell, but who cares? Now we're going to go online, and this is all completely free. You go to Pixlr.com. And again, there are other ways of doing this. You can use, some people use Photoshop. I don't have that. I don't know how to use it. So I just use Pixlr. It's free. And we're going to go to the Pixlr editor. Open image from computer. It is in our desktop. It is in thumbnail video. Thumbnail original. So there's a picture of me looking super handsome. What we're going to do basically here is cut me out, and then we're going to paste me on a cool background. If you want to do this the quickest way possible, a lot of times that I would do, like I like this freeze frame, then you go to the other version of Pixlr. There's two versions. There's the editor, which is what this is, and then there's the Express version. Express is here. So we open the file again, and a YouTube thumbnail has to be 16 by 9. That's the dimension. So here in the Pixlr editor, adjustment, crop, 16 by 9. I don't like a lot of headroom. I like the head to be pretty close to the top of the frame. So I would do it like that. Apply, save, and we're done. That's the fastest way to do it. Now the full way, I'll show you here. We can close this out. What we're going to do is erase all around me, all this, and then cut me out. And then we're going to paste me onto a cool, bright-looking background and do some letters. So the fastest way to do this, again, this is in Pixlr Editor. Click on Erase. Make this brush as big as possible, 200. This is just to save time for a second. 200. I'm going to zoom out so I can kind of see the whole thing. And really, you just want to kind of get kind of close. We'll get closer later with a smaller brush. Erase everything. Erase all this. Erase. Don't get too close. And if you do, like if you go like this, just hit Control-Z or undo. Get kind of close. Go like this. Did I get my elbow there? I might have. So then again, this takes 2 seconds to do this part. The hardest part that takes the longest is cutting yourself out, because you got to get really close. If you're not close, it's going to look bad. So zoom in again. And we're going to do this about 3 or 4 times with smaller brushes. And again, if you're using not Final Cut, Photoshop, there's tools that'll do this for you. But again, I don't have a Mac. I don't have Photoshop. I don't know how to use it. So this might be the long way, but for me, this is the way I always do it and the way that works for me. And once you do it a couple times, it becomes easier. It's just the hard part is cutting yourself out. Just no matter how you do it, as long as you want it to look right, it takes a while. So we're going to cut myself out here a little bit more. Cut. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing. Then we're going to zoom in again. Do the same thing again. And this bottom little part right here, where there's a line, don't worry about that, because once we paste myself onto the cool background, we can move myself up and down, so that's not really that important. Let's get like down to a 20 brush. Now we can get pretty close. And then we'll come back and erase that with a smaller brush, because we can make everything transparent, everything that's behind me. So then when you put me in the background will show like through my armpit and around hairs, you'll see, which I don't really have long hair, but by the way, hair's always the hair's always the hardest thing to edit, especially like a woman's long flowing hair, or if a guy has long hair, because sometimes you have to cut some strands out, which we won't get into that today because that's really specific and really complicated, and I try to avoid that. I actually tried ahead of time to plan out what I want the thumbnail to be, and sometimes you film a video and there's just a funny frame where someone's laughing or spitting out food, or they're jumping, or whatever it might be, and you pick that one. But if you can plan ahead, you can kind of save yourself a little bit of time. Like, see these hairs there, like those? I'm gonna just erase those when we get closer, because it's 1 or 2 strands of hair and it's not even gonna show up. Again, just my opinion. I'm sure there's better ways of doing this, but this is how I do it. That's my video, so that's how we're gonna do it. And once we get about this close, and the next one will be the final phase of erasing, because you're pretty close now. You don't need to do this 10 times. I like to do just 3 or 4 to get closer. Save myself some time on the final time. And again, erase this down here. All right, and I like to kind of start and just go all the way around. That's how I do it. So put this eraser at we'll call it 15. And if we need to get closer, we can close these out. We don't need those. we can use a smaller brush, but this tends to do okay, but we'll adjust it as needed. So now you want to get, let's make it a smaller brush, never mind. You want to get as close as you can without trimming stuff off, because if I cut it like this and there's still black there, you're going to see it, it's just going to look like a crappy cutout. So you want to get as close as you can. And like on shirts and stuff, if you cut off, like I cut off a little bit there, that doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to notice that. And it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but you know, if you're already in here, why not get as close as possible? A lot of times what I'll do is I'll finish it, and then I'll show you later, I'll zoom out and then see that to the human eye, that looks like it's the background still there, and I'll come back and do it a second time, but this is by far the most time-consuming part. Just sitting here and trimming and cutting. And I like to do like, you know, no more than a couple seconds before I let off the mouse, because if you make a mistake and you've been going with one mouse click for 30, 40 seconds, you got to go back and do all that work. Again, we're going to do this, and then we're going to come back and look at it again and then see how it looks. And if some of these pixels are still showing up, I'm going to show you later when we paste this onto the background why it's not necessarily a bad thing, because we're going to do an outline of me, like a cool, I like to use white outline to make me pop off the background that you're going to see later. So sometimes a couple little pixels here and there aren't bad. But you'll know before we cut myself out and take me over to the background that we're going to show you here a little bit later. You also want to be careful by a face too, so you don't distort the way someone's like face or body looks. It can look a little goofy. And we'll come back and do the armpit. We'll probably do those last. And if you really want, like, you can zoom in and like whiten these. I don't tend to do that because it ends up looking fake, and I don't really care. I like to look like a real person and not trying to look like a model or anything. But you can do that. Sometimes I'll whiten my eyes because like the whites of my eyes are not super white. There it looks pretty good. I actually shot that beginning video on purpose with the sunlight shooting onto my face. That way it's really bright, and it brightens your eyes. There's not harsh lines. We shot it inside of one of our studios with the light behind the camera, which for me, just my opinion, I'm going to get a smaller brush here just to get this part, is always the best way to shoot something with the light behind the camera, not behind you. So this gets a little tricky. When someone has glasses on, damn it. When someone has glasses on, it is a little tricky, especially because I don't have frames on the sides, or like super thin. You got to really hunker down and kind of concentrate here for a second and get around them. And then I'll show you before we move on how to get, oh, that's really close. You also don't want white here, touching white here, because then we're going to use this magic brush later, and it's going to think that that white is the background and not part of your face. All right, let's do the inside of the glasses first. So this is going to be background. So if you don't cut this out, it's going to look like there's gray background here, and the background we're going to use later is, I think, is a blue color. And then when we select everything, we're going to have to select that as well, and I'll show you why before we cut me out and put me into the background. I'll go back to a little bit bigger brush. Don't need to be super detailed. Like, actually, in hindsight, now that I'm looking at this, I should have filmed it without my glasses. It would have been taking me about 2 minutes less to edit it, and I think I look better without them, but it just would have been a little bit easier. So things like that, you know, for a girl, if she's got long flowing hair, maybe pull it back or put it in a ponytail, or you don't have to, but sometimes it can save you some time, because this can get pretty time consuming. I'm rushing a little bit, but if you really want to hunker down, this can takes me usually 15, 20, 25 minutes if I'm really focusing on it. And I think that's good enough for my hair. There's a little bit there that if I really cared, I go through and take that one little hole out of my hair, but I think it's fine. And again, this is for a YouTube thumbnail, of which 95% of people use YouTube on their phone. So some of those tiny, tiny, tiny details you're not going to notice. So you guys get the idea. We're going to fast forward here to cutting out between the arms. Okay, so now we've got most of me cut out. Looks pretty good. Like, I'm going to clean up here a little bit, and I'm going to clean up there a little bit and there, just so there's no like other colors behind me. You want it to just be white, and then you, and then nothing else. Real quick, we'll do between like my armpits or elbow pit, whatever you want to call this, right here. Zoom as close as we can. Get a small brush. Again, if you don't do this, it's going to look super weird when we're on, like, I think it's a blue background, but then there's gray in between you. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So you don't want to forget to cut around glasses, or like in between your legs or in between your arms. Let's get a really small brush. I don't like using this one brush, but sometimes you have to. Like that. And I always zoom back out to see how it looks. Zoom to 100%, because 100% zoom here is exactly how it's going to look. If you zoom in a little bit more or less, it pixelates it or makes it distorted. So you always want it at 100% to kind of eyeball how it's going to look. And if you just can't get that outline close enough, better to leave it than to cut into your face and make your skull or face or whatever look like a weird shape. So we'll zoom back out to 100. It's definitely better. Let's see how we look. Again, we're almost done with this part. Then we get down to the fun part. 100. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks I'm pretty happy with that. The stuff at the bottom, don't worry about. That stuff doesn't matter, and I'll show you why in a minute. Once in a while, what I'll do is do an adjustment. Like, there's some filters on here. There's one that I like called the HDR, but that makes me look awful, like I have jaundice, so we're not going to use that. But you can do, like, brightness and contrast, just to give a little bit more pop, because the background's going to be really colorful, so if we're kind of blown out here and not very colorful, you're going to be able to tell. So maybe I'll do a little contrast. I don't really like that. Maybe. So that, and if you undo it, you can see what it looked like before. It's not a big difference, but it's something. Okay, so I'm 100% cut out. Everything looks really good. Let me do this really quickly. Damn it. Thought I did that already. Yeah, see, that's a lot of black. That's not going to look good. Just take 2 seconds. And I know it looks like I'm cutting my skin off, but you got to get close. See if that's any better. Go to 100 so you know what it looks like. Yeah, it's definitely... Okay, we'll use that. So I actually had a different picture in mind I was going to use, but it didn't come to my email. So we're going to ad-lib here of a picture I already have from another video, but we're going to use the background in a different way. So this time we're going to open Pixlr Express. So I've already used this photo for another video, but we're going to use it in a different way here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. By the way, if you're going to use a photo on YouTube, make sure you have the rights to use it. We do have the rights to use this particular photo. It's from Thinkstock in this instance. Don't use photos you don't have the rights to because you'll get in trouble. We're going to crop it, and again, YouTube dimensions are 16 by 9. We're just going to grab just like the background, just like this right here, okay? Apply. So there's our cool background. Save as. And we can change the color and stuff later. If we want to maybe make it pink, you can do whatever. So we'll call this cool background. Save. So now what we're going to do is you want to grab this magic, whatever it's called, magic pen or something, wand tool, and you're just going to left click on the screen. And see everything's, there's these cutout little things. We want to get really close because you also want to click into the glasses. So you hold down Shift, click there. Keep holding down Shift, click there. And then also between my arms. Anything that's cut off, basically. Anything that's like on a little island. Click that there. Zoom back out. So all those things are selected. Now you got to go to Edit. Invert Selections. We want to. It's grabbing all the white. We want to grab just me. Invert Selection. Copy. And then we want to open the new image, which is cool background. Now there's cool background. And we're going to paste me onto cool background. Look how cool I look. Man, I'm cool. Let's zoom out. Not really that cool. And since I'm a little bigger than this thing, we're going to make it a little bit smaller. We could have saved it a little bit bigger. But for the sake of this video, we are going to just go with it. And all this white, I know that looks terrible. Don't worry about that. We're going to fix that in about 2 minutes. So we go to Free Transform. And you hold down Shift. And then grab one of the corners. And you can kind of resize yourself. And again, I don't like a lot of headroom. I like to be pretty close to the top. This is my personal preference. But not too close because the white surround we're going to do on me in a second is going to take up a little bit of space. So right about there. We're going to put text and the YouTube logo here in a second. So let's do that. Yep. Now next we're going to do, to see how this white just looks like crap. And we got to move me down about, if you look really close, I'm not touching the bottom right there. So just grab me and drag me down a little bit. Go back to 100 so you can see how it actually is going to look. Now what we're going to do, layer 1 is me, background is the cool background over here on layers. You right click, go to layer styles. And this is just how I always do mine. I think this looks cool. Outer glow, the color, you want it to be white. See what that just did? See, it looks like crap there and much better there. Then I'm going to change, I put the hardness up pretty high. Oh, the color changed back to white, like that. And this is exactly how it's going to look because we're at 100% zoom. Size, I think right about there is fair because you get a little bit of there. Glasses, it didn't really matter, but it is what it is. Now, the thing is, the reason you want to be zoomed in at 100% when you're doing that particular feature is if you zoom way out, see how thick the outline is now? That's not how it really looks. But at 100%, you can see exactly what it's going to look like. The thing's fidgety sometimes. Another thing I like to do, I just prefer doing this. You right click again on layer 1. That's me. Layer styles again. I like doing a drop shadow. Makes you look like you're popping off the screen a little bit. And you can control how far away it is. I don't like it super far. You can change the angle of it. I don't like when it's up like that. I usually prefer it down. So kind of, probably like that. The opacity is how much of it you can see. I don't like doing 100%. I like kind of, yeah, somewhere in there. Little closer. Okay. So now we've got me done. And over here, we're going to do some cool text really quick. I'll kind of give you the fast version of it. And I wanted to say, make a cool YouTube thumbnail for free. So we're going to do make a cool, and then we're going to put the YouTube logo in the middle, and then thumbnail for free, which I actually think I need to cut off the YouTube logo. So let's do that really quick. Let's open the YouTube logo I have, which is right here. And to cut this out, again, same thing. Click that, that, edit, invert selection. I hit Control C to copy it all, Control V to paste it here. That's way too big. Free transform, hold down Shift, and that way it moves it like the dimensions the same way. If you don't hold down Shift, it does like stuff like this, and we don't want that. So I don't want to save my changes. Free transform. I might have to change the size again, like that. And you can put it over yourself. I don't mind that. Make it a little bit bigger because you want the YouTube thing to pop off. That looks centered to me. There's not a center tool on here that I know of, which kind of sucks. That'd be convenient. We are going to outer glow on this on the YouTube. Just a real light one. White. Bop. Layer styles. Can I do let's do a drop shadow but a different direction? How about that? Oop, drop shadow. Like that. I'm gonna make it completely black, but really close. So it looks like a second outline. See, it just kind of pops off more like that. Okay. So now we got our YouTube. Now we're gonna do how to make a. So we're gonna make it kind of skinny. I like to do all caps. How to make a. Find a cooler font than that. Size kind of matters. Because we're gonna eventually shrink this using that free transform tool. I really like Arial Black, but for the bottom I'm gonna do a different font. I like to do different fonts because it just catches your eye. How to make a color. This is gonna sound really crazy, but I like to go opposite of the color wheel. So this is like a blue. So I'm gonna try like a yellowish, or even like a green. How to make it pop off? Let's try that. And we're gonna put some borders around it so the color, like, it looks like it's kind of fading into the background. It's not going to when we're done. That. Next thing you need to do, this is still a text file in Pixlr. I don't know what that means. I just know you need to do this. You right click on it, go to rasterize. Don't know what that means, but now we can change the shape of it. Edit, free transform. And I want this because I want it to be one line but taller. How to make a, I don't want it on my face. That would be silly. How to make a, and then I want to like tilt it a little bit. We'll do that too. How to make a, yes. Image, I think it's free distort. Yeah. So just something like this. Just to make it a little different. There, works for me. And then let's figure out a layer for this. I don't like them all to be the same. Just my personal preference, just something different. So there's black. I like to make the hardness as much as you can. How to make a YouTube thumbnail for, what if we did something really close, but made it white? What would that look like? Let's just see really quick for 2 seconds. That looks pretty cool. How to make a YouTube, then we're gonna say thumbnail for free. So again, text, thumbnail, and then below it for free. And then we are going to, I'm going to center it just so they're like that. Let's do a different font. Let's do, I don't know. A lot of these in here are not good. So one thing I don't like about Pixlr is the selection of fonts. I can't even see it. Is not good. But I want something really bold so it pops off. Because again, this is going to be on someone's phone. And again, we can mess with it later, but the basis of the text is going to look like this. That's too similar to what we just did. But I do prefer them to be thicker than thinner because you can see them better, obviously. Times New Roman is boring. Let's do that. What if maybe if we did bold? Can you bold this or no? Yeah. Okay, I like that better. And then we are going to what color do we want this to be? I forgot. Whoops. We want this color to be, so we got red, green, blue, like pink. Would pink look cool? Like a purple? Ah, yeah. Love pinks and purples always look good, which might sound silly, but they always pop off the screen so well. And then this one, I think we're going to try and maybe do a white border and then a black background. Or, you know what? Let's get nuts. Let's make the text white, and then we'll do the border as pink. Okay. Rasterize. Again, don't know what that means. Just know you need to do it. Edit, free transform. And again, this can cover me. This is going to look like crap now, but trust me, once we're done, I'm going to put enough outline on it where you're going to be able to see it. How to make a YouTube thumbnail for free. We can even, like right now, we can go back to me and move me over and move everything. Let's say we want to move everything to the right. Whoops, wrong layer. Layer 1 is me. We can put me here. And see how you get a little bit more room. Layer 2 is YouTube. I think layer 3 is the how to make a. There, now everything's not quite as squished. That's the cool thing about Pixlr is it saves your work as you go. Thumbnail for free. Okay. Layer styles. Outer glow. Let's try this pink just to see if this is even going to work at all. Thumbnail for free. Hardness. I don't know if I like this or not. Maybe we'll do black, and then we'll put a pink like a pink shadow behind it. Thumbnail for free. I always err on the side of bigger than smaller borders. Let's go to 100 to see, make sure it looks right, because we didn't do that before. Gotta remember to keep doing that. Layer styles. Drop shadow. Let's make the drop shadow pink. I don't think I've ever done this before, but let's just for S's and giggles. Thumbnail for free. Opacity 100%. I do like that hot pink. You can really see that. So this is what it's going to look like if we choose to be done now. That's how you do it. All right. So I think we're done. I think I'm going to leave it like that. You can zoom out a little bit to see the whole thing. But see how this is distorted right there? Because we're not zoomed in 100%. Zoom into 100%. You can see everything looks good. And we know it's 16 by 9 because that's what the cool background was. File. Save. You want to save it. Sometimes I save as a PNG, depending on how big it is. I'm just going to do it with this one. But sometimes the file's too big for YouTube. In that case, just open it back up in Pixlr, save it as a full quality JPEG. So we're going to save this as thumbnail video thumbnail. Like no pun intended. Save it in here. In the same folder. So now once we're done with our video, that is going to be our thumbnail. And that is how you do that. Pretty simple, right? I know it took a little bit of time, but again, you can kind of go a little bit faster once you know what you're doing a couple of times. You can get more complicated backgrounds, all kinds of stuff. If you guys got any questions, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Cruz. Thanks for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the video and hit me up. We'll talk soon. Bye.